What is up, Team Happy and Fit? Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. These are my favorite days. I just love being able to collaborate with you, share best practices, and I think calls like this that require leveling up. Like in life, you're either spiraling down or spiraling up, right? I heard that somewhere. And I was just thinking, like, how cool is it that we can tackle mindset? We can work on goals. We can really process and work through limitations, limited thinking. And not many places and workspaces do that. As a teacher, I loved it. But we weren't sitting around talking about comparison and all those kinds of things and how to really deal with that and how to deal with real life things. We're just talking about how do I help kids become better, which is awesome. But also a lot of self-care goes into are sacrificed, I think, with certain professions. And so I just love that this is a space, a time that not only can we grow our future, that we can just really grow who we're becoming and who we've been, which is really awesome. So welcome new coaches. If you're a new coach, I'm not going to make you talk. Don't worry. That would be so scary. On my first Zoom, I was like, oh, please don't point me out. I honestly don't know who's new on here right now. So if you are in the chat, say, hey, what's up? We want to welcome you. I want to give a shout out to Beth because she said something in our business builder page, and I was on a call today with a 15-star diamond. She knows how to get stuff done, and I think the cool thing about this is there's no one way. The way she does it is not the way my heart wants to do this, if that makes sense. There were things I took away from it, but there's certain things like I think having everybody have access to the same opportunity, like that business builder page is a click away for you. I'm not going to force anyone to be there, and I'm not going to have requirements to be in there either. It's really based on your own self-motivation. But Beth said something along the lines of, thank you for leading that way. Thank you for making it a space that way, because I don't think I would still be here, or I wouldn't be on my journey like I am now without this team. And you guys, the team is the ultimate goal. Like it really is. And I want to give a shout out to Beth because there are people who say, I don't know people, I don't know how this works, and that's not her. She just chose to get on team calls. No one forced her. She just chose to, she's doing a team cup. She's like, I'll figure it out. She's choosing to do these things, and that was me, Beth. I did the same thing. Like, I want to look at you in the screen, but I'm trying to look at the camera, so you can see my sincerity with this, is that's what it takes. It's not all of a sudden having this whole thing figured out. It's saying, you know what? Everyone seems to know everybody, but I'm going to immerse myself in the community so I get to know people. That, at the end of the day, you guys, is our choice. National wake-up call. Your business deserves where it is, deserves to be, where it's at. It deserves where it is at, or something like that, where I was like, dang, at any of our journeys, it's really on us. So I want to give you a shout out for that. Someone said to me, how do you not procrastinate in this? How did you just get it done? I built this as a full-time teacher. You guys, I was hungry. I thought I sacrificed TV for the first 2 years of my business. In comparison of the quote of thinking like, do what it's going to take. So I forget the exact quote, but it's like, so you can live like nobody else will. Like, do the things that no one's willing to do so you can live the way that no one will. And or something along those lines is that I was just willing to do it because instead of procrastinating and waiting around, one, this was fun for me. But two, I was thinking like, this isn't a burden. Like, this isn't a chore. This isn't something that I have to do. This isn't something that someone's forcing me to do. I just really approached it to like, this is the bridge to freedom, and I'm going to treat it like that. Just as much as when I'd get on a team call, I'd be sitting at a desk. I'm not trying to call you all out who aren't at desks. Maybe you don't have one. That's fine. Goals one day, right? But I just was like, I'm going to take this seriously. I took notes on every freaking call. You should see all of my notebooks. Where I was like, I'm going to treat this like a business. I'm not going to wing it. And I'm going to make it happen. And now I look back and think about that, and I'm like, dang, like, that's what it is. And then with Eric, I would always say, this is what I want for us. This is what I want for us. This is what I see for us. This is why I'm jumping on these calls. Like, this is why I want to work out. This is what meal prepping matters to me, is like, this is where I want to be. And I see that for us. And then lastly, leaders know they will and that they can. It's just choosing to think better. Instead of saying it's a slow month, instead you just get to work and you start talking to yourself in a better mindset. Instead of saying, I can't figure this out, dive into personal development. I heard, sorry, Brett, I promise I'm gonna get to you. One of the top coaches in in Beachbody said to her coach, I have to, in order to hit 2-star, I need 3 more coaches. It's not going to happen. I have to do it in 3 days. That's what she said. Elizabeth Hartkey, if you know who she is. And her coach said, okay, you have 3 days to do it. 2 of those days, I want you to dive into personal development. I don't even want you to even talk about it in fighting. And she dove into personal development, changed her mindset, because her mindset was, I can't. Her mindset was on limitation. Her mindset was figuring out how she couldn't make it happen. It's the same thing with Success Club. It's the same thing with whatever goal you have. She worked on her mindset, and then that 3rd day, recruited 3 coaches. I think that I'm just going to leave it at that. I have a couple more things. I'm super stoked. Brittany Frost is a friend of mine here, a really close friend of mine here in the Bay Area, and I'm really grateful for her. She's had an incredible last few months. She's going to share her journey, and she's going to introduce herself, and I'm going to stop talking. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. Britt, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Julianne, real quick, are you going to ask me the questions, or you just want me to go through the list?
I can, yeah, you introduce yourself, and then I'll go ahead and ask.
And then you'll jump in. Cool. I love it. So first of all, let me just break the ice by saying Julianne said you can come as you are. You don't have to dress up. You can go braless. I just want to point out right now that I might look like a party up top, okay? But just know that my pants are unzipped and unbuttoned because I am so tired of wearing jeans today, y'all, that right now I can't even handle them. So they're unzipped because I'm like, oh, I just want my sweats. So you know what I mean? This is all perception. This is how we see people. So I want to share that with you guys because I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in comparison in this game. So anyway, my name is Brittany Frost. I have been a Beachbody coach for just over 5 years. And they always say there's the day that you start, and then there's the day that you really go all in with your business. And I definitely had that in my business. Let me backtrack a little bit to my beginnings. I started by doing Insanity. And Insanity, at the time, I had a friend who showed it to me, and we would do Insanity together one fine summer. And she was ripped, like an 8-pack ripped. And I was like, I want that. So after that summer of kind of doing Insanity with her every once in a while, I decided I'd go on Amazon.com and I would purchase my own Insanity. And I have always been very independent woman, very I'll do it myself. I don't need anyone. Tribe to me didn't ever matter. So it's so natural that I would have done Insanity without a coach, all by myself, and basically just stalked someone else on social media while I did it. But I did. And so I did Insanity at a real turning point in my life when I was in a relationship that I had been in for a long time but was no longer really serving me. And that program empowered me not only just because I was developing this banging body at the time, of course, Shanti, but it empowered me that I was worth something. I had a gift. I was made for more than what I was living. And so I ended up finding a friend on social media that I had met right out of college, and she had just had her first baby, and she had lost her baby weight with Insanity. And she was sharing about it all the time. And it's kind of funny, when you buy a new car, you tend to notice everybody who's driving that same car. And so that's the same thing that happened with Insanity. I started to notice people who were also doing it. And this one particular friend, her story really struck me, and I'd always just been really close with her. And so I stalked her, and I never liked anything. I never commented on anything. I just watched her. And then one day after the summer in September, she put a post up, a video, looking for coaches to join her team. And at that point, I was broke as a freaking joke. I was a full-time elementary school teacher. I also worked 3 other jobs beyond just teaching elementary school to make ends meet. I'm sure some of you on this call right now can relate to that. I was in debt up to my ears. I was trying to get a new apartment, you guys, and I couldn't even apply for the apartment just with a teacher's salary because I didn't make enough to even meet the base minimum of getting an apartment by myself. I don't understand how even a single mom who's a teacher can get an apartment. It's just so sad. And so that was frustrating to me. And money just was always a problem. It just always felt like there wasn't money. I go to the grocery store now, and I remember back to a time when I used to swipe my card, and I would feel so nervous that my card would be declined because I didn't know if I had enough funds just to buy food for the week. And that was my life as a teacher. And that's just insane to me that you get a college degree and that's what your life ends up feeling like. Anyway, I reached out to her that day. I took a credit card that I had space on, and I bought T25, the challenge pack, and got Shakeology. Never tried it. Didn't ask her any questions. Just like, I'm in, like, whatever. I literally was the golden child, you guys. Like, the people that you're like, I want that person. That was me. But I wasn't like the person that went off running right away. So I wasn't like a rock star coach right off the bat. But I was the person that said, I already know I want this. Just like, let me swipe my credit card. I'm in. So I am fast forward here, I am 5+ years later, no longer a school teacher, no longer living in Miami, Florida. I am now living in San Jose, California, and I'm married to the love of my life, Charles, and we have the funniest little wiener dog named Frankie, who is really the only reason I think people follow me on social media.
So funny, and he's best friends with Wyatt, which is hilarious because they're like night and day, and they just like walk down the street together. Just an FYI, you guys, it's not black or white. It's not, okay, teachers, if you're on, you better quit your jobs. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is it gives you a choice in life, not to quit your job necessarily, but more choices to not feel stuck, feel burdened. What ended up happening for me is that my Beachbody salary was matching my teaching income, and I was feeling more inspired and filled up with wanting to do this than teaching. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it gave me the choice, but we're not advocating that this is to do this full time. We're advocating to chase your dreams and not live paycheck to paycheck. We're advocating that you don't have to go to a grocery store and feel sweat happening while you're about to swipe your card. What we're saying is that you don't have to feel the anxiety of going to get an apartment. Like, so that's the message in this, and that's the lesson in this, is that there are choices. It's not black or white as far as what you want to do for the rest of your life, if that makes sense. So Britt, question for you. And you kind of shared this a little bit, like, what did life look like? And you can even talk about emotionally, what did life look like before coaching, and what does it look like now?
Yeah. So before coaching, I like to say that I'm a recovering mean girl, because before coaching, I was very much, I was the person that loved to make fun of other people because I was so incredibly self-conscious about myself. Right? And so I love to put other people down so that I didn't have to maybe appear to feel so bad. But at the end of the night, when I went home, I was the one who truly was struggling on the inside. So before Beachbody, I hung out with the wrong people. I was mixed up with the wrong things. I was not somebody that I could probably go home to my family and express all the things I did and be proud of, even though maybe on the outside it looked like that. On the internal, it wasn't like that. My first transformation with Beachbody that has gotten me to where I am now wasn't an exterior one, you guys. It was interior. It was that personal development. I'd never experienced listening to podcasts in place of the radio on my commute to work, and doing that, like, I got a freaking PhD in Chalene Johnson University, or in, there was a marriage. I was engaged at the time in these beginnings, and I would listen to this marriage one because I'm like, this has to work, I feared my parents. I come from a divorced family, so I was worried about that. And just so many areas of life that are beyond pressing play on a workout and drinking a shake that I could expand and grow in. I'm constantly growing. But at the time, you guys, I was spread so thin. Like I told you, I was working so many jobs. I was exhausted. Because I was spread so thin, I didn't have that time to pour back into myself to grow in other areas. So it was just this insane loop. So nowadays, life looks a lot different. I've been able to leave the classroom and do this full time. And just now with my mindset, yeah, I have that mean girl that likes to come back up in my thought process. I think we all have that, and we have to battle that. But I have so many tools and such a beautiful tribe that reminds me of my worth and just is able to pour into me in those moments, that it's just a life. It's a complete 180 from, like, you wouldn't recognize maybe on the outside, but the interior Brittany, you wouldn't recognize her from 5 years ago.
I always think about that when people look at before and afters, and I always look at the eyes. You can just tell the sparkle in someone's eye if it's missing or not, because a lot of people just see weight loss. There was a quote that I found today, and this is just so applicable to what you're saying, is sometimes the weight you need to lose isn't in your body or isn't on your body. Like, we have so much extra baggage and weight that weighs us down, and I don't know about all of you, but hearing Brittany talk about inner mean girl and how she said it still comes up, I think we think this journey is like all of a sudden it's like transformation, and it doesn't really work like that. But the difference is that I've heard Brittany talk about this a lot. Like, hey, I'm struggling with my inner mean girl. She's able to identify it. She can identify the triggers. She can see when she's self-sabotaging. She's aware. So she's aware of what's happening. And the same thing when it comes to me with comparison or jealousy or whatever I struggle with. I would say a limited mindset on money. I can see when that's starting to perpetuate in my life, and I wasn't aware of that before. My mom always says, Julianne, I didn't know you struggled so much when I share my story, and I always respond with, Mom, I didn't know either. I had no idea, because that's what I was living day to day. So for Brittany saying, like, personal development made me so much more aware of who I was as a person. And I heard her say her tribe she was surrounding herself with was feeding and fueling that fire of being an inner mean girl, maybe gossiping, maybe treating people poorly. And I think that you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. And if you really think about that, I said this to my friend the other day. I said, I love that you value working out. Like, I value that when we hang out, that we're most likely going to work out together and then do X, Y, and Z. Like, I love that that's a priority in your life, because it just shows that you want to better yourself. I think anyone who works out, that is a trait of like, I want to work on myself, develop myself, push through myself. Now let's expand that to people who want to think better and pour, personal development, where it's like, I want to hang around people like that who want to think better instead of bring down people or always find the negative in situations. I want to find people who are optimistic and driven. And that's why I love hanging out with Brittany. Like that, like we talk about Beachbody, but we talk about life all the time. But every time we're talking about life, it's like, it's never poorly about our spouses. It's never poorly about our situations. Like, it's always just like creating and inventing and thinking and just exploring and how to get better and working through communication. So I value that in you, and I'm glad you're part of my tribe, because you, like, it's so valuable of like, if you're people, and I think Happy and Fit is this, Inspire Beauty is this, is that we value self-care, and that goes longer and farther than just how we think. It impacts so much of our life. Last question, and then we can go ahead and dig into your best practice, is I see a lot of coaches who start and then stop. Or I see people even start and then they kind of just ghost, and they kind of are a fly on the wall, and they don't really do anything with this. And if there's anything, if anyone were to ask me, like, what's the epitome of success as a coach? My answer to that would be seeing so much more duplication and more success across the board. Like, seeing more coaches be successful, because I know in my heart I'm going to make whatever I need happen to happen. So my question for you is, how did you see the vision, like the vision of the compensation plan, the vision that you could turn this into an actual business? Because I think sometimes we think so limited, and we don't think, why not me? We just look at other people and cheer them on, or we just think we can't. But what was that for you? For me, it was Trina Gray saying, this is the bridge to freedom. And she had a video, and she told her husband, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. She manifested it. And she said, and this video was, her vision was the house that she built on the lake behind her. And I remember looking at that as a new coach, and she's like, it's because of coaching. It's because of Beachbody. Stick this out. And I wrote down, slow and steady wins the race. That's all I needed to not quit. I will stick this out. I will not quit. Slow and steady wins the race. Be in it for the long haul. So what was that for you?
Yeah, it's funny. You asked me this question, and I've kind of been pondering over it for a little bit. And I think there's a little bit of like a before and more of a now. So in the beginning, I think what vision I saw and why I just stuck with it is I saw women who I desperately longed to be like. They were women who were happy. They had joy. Like, their skin was clear. They had pretty hair. Like, just crazy things. I know it's like, that's all, like, some of the things I said are cosmetic, but I just looked at some of these women and I'm like, man, if I could be like that in 5, 10, 15 years, like, I just want that joy that you have in your heart. And for what it's worth, I saw coach after coach after coach in the network, maybe not my direct upline or her upline, which were definitely my catalysts in the beginning. But the more I submersed myself in the Beachbody culture, I'd see coaches on the national wake-up call that looked happy and had these things in life that I longed for. And so at first it was the vision of someone else's life that I knew that I could have too. And I think after a period of time, you expressed that some people start and stop. And I wasn't, I was in, but I wasn't this person that I always thought that maybe my coach wasn't telling me the secret to this business. And I was always looking for the secret and the better way. And that's maybe just how God's wired my brain. But guys, I hate to break it to you. There's not a secret. It's the vitals. It's everything Julianne teaches you week after week and pours into you. But I will say that I wasted a lot of time in the beginning years of looking for that secret and just trying to find a better way. Like, okay, I don't have to invite 3 people every day. Instead, I'll just put a post up on social media and I'm sure people are going to reach out to me, right? Like, anybody else try that before and like had massive success? Yeah, no, maybe once, but not week after week after week, right? And so I had to kind of learn the hard way. And so at that point, what became my MO, or what made me stick with this, is the fact that I wasn't going down like that. Like, I had already invested in too many people. I already had enough coaches on my team that I knew it was bigger than me and that I'd be letting people down if I walked away. True story, you guys, and I'm going to be completely transparent. Yesterday, I contemplated quitting this business. And I'm sitting here talking to you guys today as somebody who's not going to quit the business. But I had that like really deep feeling of like, is this really what God's put you on the planet to do, Brittany? Are you really good enough to do this? And we all find phases in our business and in our lives where we question our ability to withstand the marathon that's in front of us, right? But I think that it's important that you understand that this is bigger than you, and that like every single face that's on this Zoom right now, every single face in your team, they need you. They need you so bad. And you would be greatly missed. And I've never watched anybody walk away from this business to have an insanely successful, incredible life doing what they freaking love doing and crushing goals along the way. I only see people walk away from this business and walk away from this opportunity going back into the same routine they were when they started. So just keep that in mind too.
Dude, I say the same thing. Like, it's not that I wish that upon people, but I think what we have is the total solution. Eric was saying that the other day. He just said, we have the whole package, and he was like reading up on MLMs and all this stuff, and how he's like, it's because their products don't transform lives. Like, it's just these products that people are trying to sell, but what we do is honestly a lifestyle you have to walk. Okay, I said last question, but I remembered that I asked another one, is what are your non-negotiables as a business builder? As someone who, you guys, she went 2-star. 2-star means she gets to reopen a franchise essentially and duplicate herself, meaning her income is about to double, if not triple. Like it like 2-star is the ultimate goal no matter what. So what she just did is like goals, and it's amazing. And so are your non-negotiables that you do? Even I'm assuming that it's not like they changed overnight. All of a sudden when you were 1-star you changed it. I'm sure these non-negotiables happened when you were an emerald and a diamond coach.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you remembered to ask me this, because I pulled out like a whole like thing here that I wanted to show you guys, and you're like in my head right now about that. It's probably not different than before. Guys, I grabbed 3 things. These are all the same, but there's 3 separate ones of them that are trackers, and they are books that I made. I just printed enough and went to FedEx Kinko's and had them spiral bound, because it's easier for me to walk around with them like that and have them in my purse. Side note, like, you do you and you figure out what system works for you. And I'm going to be talking about systems tonight with following up and tracking your conversations. But I am a pencil and paper gal, and I'm going to be showing you a digital option tonight as well. But I have to tell you guys that this in my purse was never a burden. It was always reminding me that I'm worth it to work on my business. So if you're like, well, I don't like carrying a notebook because it's in my purse and it's all heavy, good. That reminds you to work your business today, right? But these are trackers. And then I also pulled out and this is like, I'm kind of going a roundabout way to answer your question about what my non-negotiables are, but I'm hoping you're figuring this out. I pulled out I have planners every year. This is 2017. 2017 was the year that I pretty much, the end part of 2016 going into 2017 was when I drew the line in the sand and said, no more. Like, I am making this freaking happen. Like, I can do this, right? And it's about that time that I also met Julianne. And she was a big, big source of inspiration and motivation as well for me in that time of transition. But guys, this was from May, and like every week I sit down and I plan out my workouts. I plan out at the time what my blog articles were. I write down every day I sit down, I write down what I'm going to get done that day as a non-negotiable. And it's always the same things, because here's last year's, here's this year's, it's all the same. And it's very boring. If you guys came and sat with me for a day, you'd be like, Brittany, you're really boring. Like, Julia comes to my house to work, and it's like silence and awkward, like just texting of like people we're trying to be friends with on social media. Like, it's so boring. It's not sexy. But every day, like 6 a.m., Bible study, workout, get ready. I've got my workout, my group check-ins, building my business for at least an hour. I have a call tomorrow. I'm guiding a team hustle hour tomorrow. I want to send out an email tomorrow. Like, every day I sit down, and then when I wake up in the morning, I'll dump anything else that I need for the day. But those things, like checking in with my challengers and my team, building my business and working off of a tracker, non-negotiable, you guys. And I wanted to pull out like the piles and piles and piles of calendars, planners, trackers that I've used over the years to let you know that it's those small, seemingly insignificant actions. Like, it doesn't matter today that you friended 5 people on Facebook, but it's gonna freaking matter a year from now if you stick it out that long.
I think about that going into the classroom, I couldn't wing it. Like, snow days you'd wing, or like not snow days, but the days that you know you're not gonna have a lot of kids, but or like the day before a break. But you think about that, you have a plan with your teaching job, and obviously you should have a plan with this. And so, last question, because your content is so good, but I just am so intrigued, is what is your advice to someone who started then stopped, or is a brand new coach, or someone who is looking at this? Because you guys, we can't identify she does this full time. She does this full time. It makes sense she does this full time, because like, y'all, like, if we keep repeating that story in our head, you're not going to get anywhere. I didn't choose to have that story in my life when I was working full time at this. Like, I just made it work. I just didn't watch TV. Didn't watch sports on Sundays. And if you know me, I freaking love football. Did you remember something, Britt? But I'm going to ask you, and then you can say what it is. So what's your number one advice to them of, like, say someone, this is their first call, say this is someone's millionth call, and they haven't seen any movement in their business, but they want to. What is your advice to them?
So I think community is everything. I think the baseline of everything is your self-care and your connection to Team Happy and Fit. And so if you started today, you got to press play on your workout tomorrow morning. You got to drink your Shakeology. You got to post about it. You've got to coach you. You've got to work on yourself and share that with others, regardless of what people think, regardless of if you're trying to sell somebody something today or you're just whatever. Show up on social media like it's your fit diary, like you're documenting this journey like it is just a fit diary, right? And then stay plugged in to what the community has to offer, because my first sign of a coach that is about to quit is that they've retreated to the sidelines. And so don't retreat. When you want to retreat, don't. We talked about tribe this last weekend at church, and it was just so powerful because I think she talked about how we'll all face crisis, right? And we don't know how much we need our tribe until we actually face a crisis where our tribe can then be there for us. And I'm not wishing anything upon you guys or, any voodoo stuff at all, but just hear my heart that there's going to be a day in your life that's really hard. And you have such a beautiful community that Julianne has like fostered culture in for you guys to be able to lean on. And so even when it gets hard, stay plugged into community, press play on your workout, share it on your fit diary. I did think of something though that was in regards to your time. Can I share it really quick? So I found this little graphic yesterday on Instagram. You can't really read it, but it says a week has 168 hours. So let's break this down to things that like you need to do, right? 56 hours to sleep, 40 hours to work, 10 hours to eat, 8 hours to do chores. Some of y'all don't even do chores for 8 hours. Come on, I know that. 8 hours to shower and do bathroom things. Like, I'm giving you space, guys, in your week. And 6 hours of commuting. That now leaves, of your 168 hours, 40 hours. What will you do with your second 40-hour work week? Julianne talks a lot about giving up Netflix, giving up TV and stuff like that. You guys, there are time suckers that just grab for our attention. And so I love that she shared about that, just about time, because we actually have a lot of time in a day. It's just we waste a lot of time. That was a gut check for me when I saw it. So I just wanted to share that. But we can totally.
I literally just wrote the Netflix thing as you said it, and it made me laugh. Okay, Britt is about to share with us her tracking system. So if you're brand new, I think this is freaking gold, because when I was new, I was all over the freaking place. I didn't know what to do. I Googled, how do you have a conversation with people about challenge groups? I didn't know anything. So what she's about to do, don't let it overwhelm you. Just be like, she knows what she's doing and she's breaking this down for me. I'm going to apply it. Take action. Britt, take it away, sister.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you a digital tracking system. Now, this is coming from Miss Pencil Paper. Julianne laughed at me, you guys, in a coffee shop because I didn't have a pencil, and she went to hand me a pen, and I was like, no, I have to write in pencil because we make mistakes in life. We're human. And I have to erase it. And then she laughed at me. The barista laughed at me, and I had to walk across the street to CVS and buy a pack of pencils. So I'm just letting you know that I am the queen of pencil paper tracking, but my stubborn old mule self has figured out that Google Sheets is the way to go when you want to track, because you will never lose anyone that you need to follow up with. And I'm going to show you how that is. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen if that's okay, Julianne, yeah? So give me a thumbs up that you can see it. We're good? Cool. So I'm talking about basically how to create this list, but also how to utilize it. And there's going to be a lot of really great scripts in here. I can give you guys this PDF or give it to Julianne. She can share it. But if you want to screenshot some of this stuff or, scribble with your hands really fast. But let's first talk about why. Why is this important? Well, first of all, it's crucial for growth in your business that you're tracking and you're not flying by the seat of your pants like Julianne said. We wouldn't do that in any other job, so why do that with this? It also keeps you organized and on track when you sit down to work your business. We're talking about how a lot of us are working that 40 hours a week, or we are moms who are trying to chase around little ones and we just don't have time, right? Like, we see that we're supposed to have this extra 40-hour, hours a week, but I just don't know how to find it. The thing is, if you start to stay organized and track, you're going to sit down to work on your business, and it's going to be like a breeze. You're not going to have to play guessing games with who to talk to. You're going to forget. I can't even tell you how many people in my business that I have gone back to say happy birthday to, right? Because Facebook reminded me it was their birthday, and I go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I invited them 6 years ago and I never followed up. What was I doing? You're going to forget, guys, right? Things grab for our attention. If you're reaching out to somebody in the middle of Starbucks and then by the time you get your coffee and you head out, you're not going to remember who you just talked to or that you need to follow up with them in 24 hours. So this is awesome. And that's how people fall through the cracks. Guys, there's so many options. Like I said, paper, pencil, you could use whiteboard. You could use a mixture of all of them, which I actually do, but the Google Doc is what I'm going to teach you tonight. And here's the deal. I know Julianne said if you're brand spanking new, just hop on it. But I think this is actually harder for people who've been in this business for a long time, because you worry about, well, what about those people I talked to last year and the year before? They're not going to be on this tracker. My friends who've been in this business a while, just start. Those people will end up on your tracker at some point. I promise they will. But don't let that stop you from getting people on your list. I started this method in September of last year, and my list, I have 500 plus people on this one list. And there are people I delete from it often because, maybe we're no longer following one another or the conversation just went dead. And so right now sitting there's plenty of people on my list, and that's not even, that's just me starting at zero, starting at nothing on the list. So I have a little system, and I'm going to show you how to set it up here in a second, but I make some columns in a Google spreadsheet. Okay. I make a name column. Typically in their name column, you can do a name and a handle column if you prefer to see it like that, but I just do a name column, and until I know their first and last name and I'm totally certain on it, I just put their Instagram handle if that's where I found them. When you get their email, you'll fill that in, so I have an email column for that point. I like to share where I found them or where we're having our conversation. Am I having it on Facebook? Am I having it on Instagram? Is it an email convo? Then I have a place for my notes, and I just keep a running log so that I can go back and kind of read where we were in our conversation. And then I set a follow-up date, which I'll show you how I do that. And then I set what to follow up with. This is where I save so much time, because when I go into my Google spreadsheet and I get it in order so that it shows me today's date and all the things I need to do, the people I want to love on, the people maybe I need to invite, who I've got to follow up with, it's all going to be right there for me. And I don't have to play a guessing game of like, well, what do I say to Susie? I know what I'm going to say to Susie. I'm going to invite her today. I'm going to rip the freaking Band-Aid because my tracker told me to, right? I know there's so many people out there that you're like, oh, well, today's just not a good day to invite them. I'll wait till next week. Nope, my tracker told me to invite. I'm going to do it today. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, so this is just in action. Here's the name column, email, where we met, notes, the follow-up date that you set, and what you follow up with. Okay, I want to go pause the share here really quick. I'm going to switch over, and I want to just set one up for you so you know exactly. You're like, Brittany, what are you even talking about right now? If you don't have a Gmail account, you're going to need a Gmail account for this, so you can create one. But when you get into Gmail, you have what's called your Google Drive, which is, if you click on your Google Apps over here, you'll see your Google Drive that you can pull up right there. So I already have mine up. So in a Google Drive, you can create a spreadsheet. If you tap on New or Create, you'll see Google Sheets, and you just click on that, and you'll start a brand new spreadsheet. Now, I'm not going to teach you all the ins and outs of how to create this. I trust and believe that you guys are resourceful enough to go figure out how to create and get all these columns in place, but I did give you my labels, and I want to show you mine now. So I left mine jumbled, well, sort of jumbled, on purpose because I want to show you guys how I use it. So let's say I sat down to work today. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? I've got my tracker in front of me. Now, this is not like, also keep in mind, this is not the do-all end-all. If somebody took my poll on a story, or maybe somebody loved on a photo of mine, and I feel compelled to invite them based off of that, girl, do that. Boy, do that if there's men on this call, sorry. But, so keep in mind that people should be adding to this as well. So you don't want to just like, organize this, get through your list, and then walk away. You should also be adding to this list each day as well, okay? And I'm going to show you how I do that. So once you get it set up with name, email, where you met, notes, follow-up date, and what you're going to follow up with, this little corner button here, this is like Google Hack 101, and I feel so proud that I learned this. You click on that little corner rectangle, and it highlights everything, yeah? And I'm going to show that to you guys again because this took me a long time to learn this. So you click on that rectangle, it highlights everything, it's all blue. Then I click on data because I want to sort my data. This is all data, right? I'm going to sort it. And so I go down to sort range, and a little pop-up comes up. Now, this little button here, I've got to click it because my data has a header row. It does. It has a header row because remember we made headers or titles right here at the top. So it has header rows. Otherwise, it's not going to organize it in the proper way, and it's going to be like Chinese. You don't want that. So you click this, and then I'm going to sort it by, and there's really no other necessary way for me to sort it other than by follow-up date. So I'm going to click out of that again. So remember, I highlighted everything. It's all highlighted. I go to data, sort range. I hope you're writing this down. Data has header row because it has a title, right? And then follow-up date. Now, when I click sort, watch the magic happen, you guys. Oh. Okay, I'm going to unclick. Now, you can see that I am backed up on my follow-ups because I've actually had like so many moving parts going on right now that I'm backed up. And I'm totally okay with that, even showing you guys this. But look at here, little Miss Rachel Walker. What do you think I'm going to do today on the 28th? I don't know. I'm going to tell her, have you reconsidered joining a group? I'm not going to go, like, I already know she's getting married. Look, I sent her a congrats. She's a Shalene junkie and has all her DVDs. Like, I'm keeping notes on our conversation, so I know a little bit about her. I had set the follow-up date for January 28th, and what am I going to follow up with? I'm making my life easy by saying, have you reconsidered joining a group? Now, here's the money. Little Miss Rachel Walker, I'm going to send her that message. Once I send her that message, that's an invite. So to me, once I invite somebody, I need to follow up with them and make sure they saw my message if they never answer me, because we know how busy we get, and I don't want anybody to fall through the cracks in that way, because I know they can. So what I'll do is I'll highlight this, and I'll get rid of the have you reconsidered joining a group, and I'm going to put, did you see my message? Because I'm going to send her that question. I like to do it either 24 hours to 48 hours later, no longer than 48 hours. So if I sent her the, hey, have you reconsidered joining our group? I'm going to now, I sent it. It's done. It's in the abyss. It's out on Instagram. I'm going to write on my tracker, did you see my message? And I'm going to change by double clicking on the date. Let me do that again. When I double click on the date, the calendar pops up, and I'm going to set it either for 24 or 48 hours later. And that way, on the 30th, when I sort my range, right, when I sort my data, it's going to pop up. And I remember, I've got to reach out to Rachel Walker today and say, did you see my message? I feel like I should ask if there are any questions so far.
Dude, freaking gold, because you guys, okay. Like, if you're not hearing it from me, I'm telling you, Brittany has a very successful business. She always hits Success Club. She always helps new coaches get started. She's doing a phenomenal job growing her income. She's doing a phenomenal job growing the culture of her team. She's doing a phenomenal job being organized, and I guarantee she is getting more done than some of us who have less time to work this. She is doing this in less time than some of us. Like, because I sit around going, well, like looking through all this stuff, but you're literally like boom, 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 and then you're in, you're out. So good. Are there questions that we can you give? So I think what everyone is wanting to see are your examples of what you say.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love a good script, you guys.
Wait, real fast. Sorry. When you add someone new, do you put them at the bottom?
No. Okay, so now, perfect. That's a great segue, and I'll take it for when I'm adding somebody, and then I'm going to flip back over to like now my process once I add a new person on. Yeah. So I will click, if you click on the first, not number one, because that's my header row, right? But number two, if you right click on that, there's going to be a bar that pops up, and I want to insert one above. And so now I'm just going to type in here, Julianne C, and we talked on Facebook. Now, accepted friend request. So I know she accepted my friend request. Now, here's the money, you guys. She accepted my friend request. Within 24 to 48 hours, I want to be in her inbox. I want her to notice me. So I'm going to send her, send form message to connect, or you can send hey girl, whatever. And I will share a script with you of exactly what I say. I promise. But I'm going to set this follow-up date. Today is the 29th. So I want to say this to her tomorrow or 2 days max at the latest. So I'm going to set it for 1:31. So she accepted my friend request. Cool. She can go creep me on social media all she wants now. What I'm going to do 2 days from now is I'm going to get in her inbox and I'm going to send her a hey girl. Okay. Once I send her the hey girl, there's going to be more steps. So let me stop and let me get back to the presentation so I can share those steps with you guys. Okay. I am going to preface this by saying, like, I've called my team out on this, and I'm like, who stopped doing this? And they're all like, me. You're going to be so amped up tonight that you're going to be like, I'm doing all the tracking. Like, you're going to love it. And then a week from now, you're going to be like, oh, that's just a lot of work. It's really not, though. It makes your work load so much faster when you sit down to work. So please don't give up on this. I triple dog dare you to try it for like the next month. Okay, so let's do the fun stuff because I know this is what you really want. So step one, I have a new friend. Right? A new friend on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, wherever your jam, I go to their profile. Step two, I'm going to love on their pictures. 5-3-1 method is what I like to do, which is 5 likes, 3 comments, and 1 private message. Guys, if you get to somebody's page on Instagram or you scroll somebody on Facebook and you cannot find 5 things to like, 3 things that you could potentially comment on, I'm just going to let you know they're probably not your tribe. So I move on, right? Like some of my girls are like, Brittany, like, I just don't care. I'm like, well, if you don't care, then leave, like find someone else, right? Like if there's nothing you care enough to comment on. So just do that as like a little gut check too of the people that you're spending your time, your precious time. Who are you spending time loving on? Yeah. So this is something I love to say. Hey, Julianne, thanks so much for adding me, or thanks so much for following me. I love meeting new friends on social media and you seem super sweet. Anyways, sending good vibes your way today. That's it. That's all I send them. Within 24 hours or 48 hours after they become my friend. So every day, you guys, I go back to my new friends on Facebook and I add them to this list. I add them to this tracker. That's when I said before, like I'm not just looking at what my chunk is for the day. There's kind of two parts to it. I have to add people to it and then also do my chunk for the day as well. Okay. So figure out a number that works for you is my advice. Don't go so big that it becomes overwhelming. I also like to, if I can see something about them, I might relate to them. I love meeting new friends on social media and you seem super sweet. Your dog is freaking adorable. How old is he? Anyways, sending good vibes your way today. Have an awesome day, right? Like I might plug something in that just shows that I kind of took a second to look at their stuff, right? But you can change and arrange this however to sound like your voice. So next, I add them to my contact list. So that's how I showed you. I added Julianne to that contact list and I set my follow-up date for 2 weeks out. Now, so the first thing I showed you, I just set it for I set it for maybe 24 or 48 hours to send her a message, get in her inbox. You could also do that right away if you want, right? But once she's added to my contact list and I've sent that hey girl message in her inbox, I'm going to set a follow-up date for 2 weeks out. And that's when I send the first invite. And you might be like, oh my gosh, Brittany, are you for real? 2 weeks later? Yes. If not now, then when? At what point are you going to feel comfortable enough sending it? Just rip the freaking Band-Aid and do it. Because remember, we have a gift to offer people. We're not just trying to sell something. The beautiful part about what we do as Beachbody coaches is that our work begins when they purchase their challenge pack. That's when we get to actually have the greatest impact on them. So yeah, 2 weeks out, send the first invite. So here's an example of an invite I might send right now. Hey, I hope you're having an awesome week so far. I just wanted to pop in. I hope I haven't been rude by not reaching out sooner. I love that line, you guys. I hope I haven't been rude by not reaching out sooner. It shows people that I'm not just spamming you, and it's not I actually have you in mind. And I hope that, because at this point, for 2 weeks, they've probably seen my stories. They've probably seen my calls to actions, right? They may have seen this, and they're waiting for me to reach out and offer this gift. So I let them know that I've been rude by not reaching out sooner, but I'm prepping for a brand new 20-minute workout that we'll be doing this new year in my self-care sisterhood. Anyways, not sure if you have a solid fit routine, but if not, I'd love to share the deets with you. Would you be down to learn more? Guys, that's my voice. That's how I talk. If you want to say deets, you say deets. That's short for details, by the way. I'm also 35 years old and still talking like I'm in the 80s, early 90s. Anyway, but that's my voice. Tweak it to be your own. But I love this because it is a little bit of the PBJ method, if you've learned about that at all, where you kind of give them an out. And you soften it and become human and not just spamming somebody's inbox saying, hey, thanks for liking my post. Do you want to do this workout? Right? You're actually kind of taking time to have a relationship with them. So what I do next. Here's another invitation I might send. I told you guys I had good ones. Hey, I don't know if you saw how pumped I am to dive into a new workout program for 6 weeks, or you could change it now. Hey, I don't know if you've seen how crazy in love I am with this new workout program I'm doing, right? You could change it up since we've already started, but I wanted to pop in and see if you'd want to do this together. If I hooked you up with a simple eating plan and a quick and effective workout, would you be down to join our group so we can crush our goals together? Your thing, what you give to people, for me, I love giving recipes. I think that that's something I just enjoy as a coach. I enjoy making meal plans for myself. I love pouring that into my people, right? I also love quick, effective workouts. So that's my thing. But if maybe your thing is hooking them up with, maybe you love the portion fix containers. So you could insert something if I hooked you up with a way to, balance your portions, would you be down to join our group? Figure out what your thing is, what your jam is in this whole Beachbody world. If I hooked you up with a amazing superfood shake, right? Whatever it is for you, plug that in. But I think for me, this speaks more volumes to my tribe, right? Okay, so step 5. We've ripped the Band-Aid. We followed up with, or we sent the invite. So now we have to make sure we follow up. So I write in my notes that I sent the first invite. You can put the date if you want, because, you know, a couple months from now, you might be like, oh my gosh, I sent them the first invite in January, and now here it is March, like, and I totally missed following up with them or whatever, right? Or you don't know if you've ever invited them before, because sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. So you could also acknowledge when that was. And then I send a follow-up, set a follow-up for 24 to 48 hours later. And in that follow-up, I write the notes like you saw. Did you see my message? And then this is what I said. Hey girl, not sure if you saw my last message, and I put like emoji arrows up or like the little things. I know Instagram can get super cluttered, or I know Facebook can get super cluttered. But if an accountability group like this isn't your thing right now, no worries at all. I'd love to invite you to, and if you have a free group, you could invite them to that. Would you be down? Now they're getting your, they're getting the value of you and seeing the value of you as a coach if they are in your free group. Maybe, I know Julianne has like a really beautiful recipe book. No worries at all. I'd love to share with you this recipe book that has helped save my life on weekdays that are crazy. Enjoy it and let me know if you try anything, right? And then you send them some love. I think something I'm trying to teach my team right now is that I want to leave a really good taste in people's mouths. Now, that's not going to happen with everybody, but I want to make sure that in my power, I leave a great taste. And I think the follow-up is that way to do it. If I just left it after 24 hours, 48 hours, and I never sent this next message acknowledging that maybe this isn't for you, here's something to try. If we don't do that, the last message was like, join my group, and they think maybe we're just another person trying to get them to buy something, right? So from there, step 7 would be to either add them to a free group, because I've done that before, give them the resource if that's what you're going to do, or set a follow-up to just love on them. You might have seen in my tracker that I shared, you might just see love on stuff. That means I've invited them already. I followed up with them already. It wasn't for them, or they ghosted me, whatever the case may be, and I'm just going to keep on loving on them. Now, some people stopped following me, or I stopped following them. And so if that's the case and they ghosted me for like 6 months and like we've got nothing going on in terms of following one another, I'll take them off my list. I have no shame in doing that, because I'm continually putting people who want what I have to share on that list, okay? So this is literally wash, rinse, repeat. You add somebody to your thing, you send them, you do the 5-3-1. That one message is the hey girl message. You set the follow-up for 2 weeks later to invite them, and then you set a follow-up you set the date for 24, 48 hours later to send the follow-up, and then you set it to whatever the next step might be, right? Hold on. Oh, I've got some homework for you. So I'd love for you guys to set up a Google Sheet. Like, take action on this, you guys. You've learned a lot tonight, and your brain is probably frazzled right now. But let it marinate, like sleep on it, but set it up. Don't just let this be something you like heard that was really cool that you never try. And then I dare you to commit to tracking new friends, hey girls, invites, all the way through the end of February, and see if it makes your business more organized and helps you generate new growth. And I also want you to know that the tracking that I do on that is based off of my business activity tracker, my BAT. If you haven't seen one because you're a newer coach, I know that they're up on your team page, probably in the files section, but this is what it looks like. And I base my behavior of initiating connections, adding followers, inviting, responding to people, following up with people, all that good stuff. I base that off of the BAT so that I'm staying on par with activities that I know will generate business, right? So I say that's it. I know that was a mouthful, but that's it.
So freaking good. Do you use the business activity tracker and your own tracker, or do you just use the Google Sheet?
Full disclosure, I'm trying to figure out what's working right now, because they came out with the new BAT, and I was like, I should be leading by example for my team and using this, but it's also not perfect for my brain right now. So yes, the short answer is yes, I use this business activity tracker and I check it off. And I also use pen and paper, I use everything, right? But at the end of the day, everything's got to get put on that list, because then I don't lose people.
And the reason they make that kind of thing too is that some people need more guidelines. That you guys, as long as you're tracking and you're doing the vital behaviors, it doesn't have to be with one type of system. Things aren't black and white with Beachbody. They just give you resources because there are other coaches that don't have supportive teams or a team culture that is teaching beyond that, if that makes sense. So you can use that, and that is good. Britt is finding that this is helping her business. And so maybe some of you are going to do that and be like, this is what I've been looking for. Maybe some of you are going to look at this and be like, I like the concept. I'm going to take bits and pieces of it. So yes, question, when you are working your business like we do and we track, are you seeing like an insane shift of momentum when like after 1 power hour? Like you send out 10 messages of, hey girls, and is your messages blowing up?
No.
I think we need to hear this because we expect immediate gratification. We don't like getting ghosted. We don't like rejection. And that is why people stop doing the behavior. So you just do it. Not sexy, you guys.
No, you guys would be bored to tears in my house. My dog like looks at me all day like, are you really still doing that? It's true. I see some questions. Julian, do you want me to start answering some of these? Mm-hmm. Stephanie, I see yours, definitely. If there's ones above that, Julianne, I might have missed them. She says, do you care if I ask how many people you get on your list at one time? No, I don't care about that. I'm not like, guys, I'm not an astronomical, like, unattainable coach where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, she's doing numbers that I just can't even like swallow right now. I'm sitting at SC8 and I've signed one coach this month and I've got share carts out, and we'll see, in the next 3 days, like I'm going to keep wash, rinse, repeating the behaviors I do every day. And we'll see how that finishes. But I'm around usually SC10 on average every month, and I sign at least, 2 to 3 coaches. But I can't handle big numbers, Stephanie. I can't. Like, I get to a place where like, I paralysis. Like, I don't know what to do with all these follow-ups. So that's why I caution you, be careful about how many friends you're going to add, because guess what? It starts to pile up every single day, which you can even see, like I'm backed up 2 days in my tracker because with, everything I kind of put a lot at the end of the month when I was setting follow-up reminders for people or whatever, and it became too much for me. So it's going to be a dance for you when you first start this, is like how much is too much, and let me find out my cadence and my rhythm. But I don't put an astronomical number on the list at one time. Does it bother you?
Do you do like 10, do you do 10 new follows ish?
Something I like to do, you guys, is I like to put on music and I like to just follow people that look like me, like mini versions of Britney. And I do that until the song goes up. And so I can't give you a number. I just play games with myself, or like I'll sit on the toilet. This is TMI, but do it until I'm done on the toilet. You know what I mean? Like I find cracks to add people. And then I don't really worry about people that I've added and adding them to the tracker until they've followed me back. Yeah.
Got it. I think just pick a number. And then if you don't, like, you guys, it's not like one day if you do 20 and the next day you do 3, you're a failure. Trina will say, don't do 100 because that will stress you out, but don't do 0 because that will do nothing. Yeah. So even if it's 3 every day, that's more than you would do before. Beth, I'm assuming if they're deleted, it's because they blocked her. So like she has no access to their profile anymore. But you can also see in the feed or in the message threads that you've already had a message. I'm going to hit end record real fast.